Hi guys, and welcome to a new video on Sonal's life. Now, the last time that I spoke to you, we were basically celebrating that it came home. Zack Sabre Jr. was the G1 Climax winner. Now, we've been having the Destruction tours, all culminating at the Destruction show on the 29th of September, I believe, and then the King of Pro Wrestling show, and then Royal Quest. However, I thought I'd do a video that I tend to do every year, because all of you know that New Japan is very much based on factions compared to like other promotions. These factions are like families, they are the basis of tag matches, title matches, and basically what New Japan is all about. So we are back, it's 2024, we're getting towards the end of the year, so it's time to rate them. Now usually the ratings, if you've never seen any of them before, is like a mixture of accomplishments, the impact they've had on the year in New Japan, or like, I guess 9 months so far, but also like tied in with my own personal taste. Because as you know, we try to be unbiased, we don't. I go with my heart for a lot of things, so that will also tie in. So yeah, let's just get going. So I don't think I've forgotten any factions here, and if I have, forgive me. So at number 8, we are starting with House of Torture. So, I technically could have cast Bullet Club as like one thing, but that's unfair to the War Dogs. So yeah, House of Torture is at number 8. I genuinely do not know what else to say. There was always so much potential for another heel faction, especially after the disbandment of Suzuki-gun. Obviously, House of Torture came before, but you know what I mean. And like in theory, there are some okay wrestlers in a House of Torture. He might not be the best wrestler, but when he was in Los Ingobernables de Japon, Evil was fairly liked and could do decent matches. Decent. I'm not saying like he's like 5-star. Do you know what I mean? Yujiro, we don't talk about Yujiro. Yujiro was always Yujiro. Sho, one of the best junior heavyweights when he was in Chaos. Like, multiple time tag league winner, multiple time junior champion. Yoshinobu Kanemaru, the heel master, one of the most underrated junior heavyweights in the world. Dick Togo, as much as you hate to admit it, similarly to Gedo and Jado, in his prime, he was legendary. So you put all of the... and Red Narita, who before Excursion had so much potential. So you put all of these guys together and you have the ability to have a heel faction who is a genuine threat. But the problem is now you just have guys who don't have very good matches. Even the likes of Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Sho, you can't see them having a match without almost anticipating cheating. And while I get it, they're dastardly heels, there's only so much you can have for that. Like, Tanahashi's made this whole storyline that he's going to address it and that there's going to be no cheating, but it's constant interference, and it's like, dude, at this point, should there not either be like 2 referees or like House of Torture banned from ringside? I still think at the core of my heart, you know, that House of Torture have the potential to be a very good faction. We have some like spots of greatness, like Sho's character work, and Kanemaru has had some matches where there's been like a good portion where there's not been cheating, similar with Red Narita. The problem is it doesn't happen enough. If you have 99.9% of the times that they're cheating, you have 0.1% where you see that potential. So yeah, they're in last place, and I think for most people House of Torture would be at the bottom. The next one at number 7 breaks my heart, because if any of you know, when I started watching New Japan back in 2018, wow, that's a long time ago, the person who got me into it was Jay White. The Jay. Where are you, Jay? Obviously he's in AEW now, but he was part of Chaos. And so for me, Chaos was the faction that got me into wrestling. At that point as well, they were very successful. They had IWGP Heavyweight Champion Okada, Junior Champion Ospreay. Jay was US Champion, Tag Champions was Pongi 3K. Hiroki Goto had, I think, the Never title. Then you had the likes of Yoshihashi. They were an extremely strong faction. And obviously, they've slowly lost members. I think they've lost the most amount of members, whether it was Jay, then they lost Ospreay, and then Robbie, and then Sho, and then obviously Okada left. you could be saying, with Sana, shouldn't they be lower than House of Torture? There is potential. There is so much. You still have Bishamon, so Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto slaying at the top of the tag team division. Hiroki Goto had an amazing New Japan Cup and G1. Ishii has been storming it in AEW, getting really big matches and a lot of attention. And Yoshihashi, he's gone and got himself a match against the global champion David Finlay. And then obviously while he's injured, Yo is still an amazing part. Yano still has all that charisma. Now, the reason I put them higher is obviously because individually they're all doing very well. They just need a major rehaul in some way. Whether it was Hiroki Goto trying to lure Takeshita into their faction whenever he comes here, there is so much potential. And I think as guys come back, so I think Oiwa is shortly returning. There is obviously, if you remember, Yuto Nakashima and I can't remember his name. Oh, I'm sorry. You know who I'm talking about. It'll come back to me at some point, and I'll be like, there is a endless possibilities of who could join Chaos, and I think if you do that, you have the chance to see it return to its former glory. I think obviously the loss of Okada was massive for them. He is known, he was the leader, but there's still so much that I can see Chaos doing. And I think the big thing is, so they need fresh blood and they need some junior heavyweights, because at this point you're basically just relying on 4 heavyweights who are, I guess, on the older side of the roster. But I have hope for Chaos, okay? I am Chaos through and through. So while all of you is hating, I am saying that Chaos still has the potential to be one of the best. And leading in from Chaos to another faction who sort of lost, well, never really had an identity. In 6th place is Hontai. Now, you might be like, why is Hontai higher than Chaos, blah, blah, blah. So Hontai actually at this point has some belts. They have the Never Triple Man tag team. I've said that completely wrong. But yeah, so Bolton, Oleg, Tanahashi and Yano hold the Never titles. And they have some really strong guys within the faction. Shota Umino, who while is still trying to find his place in this world or in this company, is doing very well for himself. Won the Rumble recently, did decent in the G1. Guys like ELP, who is a massive fan favourite. I've mentioned Bolton Oleg, you've still got Tanahashi, Taguchi, some very good junior heavyweights, Kevin Knight, Kushida. I think, and this has been the problem, I think we've mentioned it with Bullet Club, but who they're a bit more standard now that there's a bit more split in the factions. There is no identity really. I think it's one of the things that ELP and like when Hikuleo was there, they were trying to say that they wanted to sculpt Hontai into a faction that people wanted to go to, rather than the case that it was the place where the Young Lions were, then you would come back and then inevitably you would move on to your own faction. That's similarly to like what Hanari did and things like that. I still think they're strong. They're a very nice base for New Japan. They're very good to represent what the company is. They have a lot of fan favourites. I just think that we need a bit more like unity. Like, I remember there used to be the Taguchi's faction. So like something like that. Because at this point, Hontai just feels a bit too broad. And just feels like a collection of guys who really love the company. And also if you think about it, there's also a very... I've put like Chaos and Hontai separately, but there's also a mix between those two factions. Obviously, this all dates back to Jay White. Everything goes back to Jay White. And when Chaos and Hontai joined together, Tanahashi and Okada, for their joint rivalry against Jay. So if we can get back to the very clear definitions and borders between the factions, I think both Hontai and Chaos will benefit in the long run. It's breaking my heart why I've got this faction at number 5. Because as you can see, 2 of them are on the wall. I have put just 5 guys at, let me see, at number 5. Okay, that's quite ironic. We'll go for that. Basically, just 5 guys are my favourite faction. You know that. However, aside from Doki, who, yes, Doki is now the IWGP Junior Champion, there's not really much going on. Now, I'm not going to say this. They are still one of the top. They are still doing phenomenally, because let me put this to you. Before he was injured, Uemura was really shining in the G1. He gained a lot of attention, had some amazing matches. Sanada he pinned Zack Sabre Jr. in a tag match, and he has a shot or a special singles match with Zack at Royal Quest. Taka Michinoku's Taka Michinoku and Taichi is Taichi. I think that's the problem with Just Five Guys. Is while on one end we have Uemura, who was doing amazing, but obviously lost momentum due to injury. Sanada floundered a bit and did very well towards the end of the G1. Taichi and Taka not really doing much, though Taka recently got a pin, so shout out to Taka. I think it's not a bad thing in Just Five Guys' journey at all, because if you think about it, compared to a lot of the other factions, Just Five Guys are tiny, guys. They're just 5 guys. So with so little people, there's not as much chance to get success or to get titles. So for example, obviously Doki is junior champion. You don't really want to be with Taka for junior tag league, so there's not really a chance to go for those titles. Uemura, so between Uemura, Sanada and Taichi, they've all medalled in the tag division, but they're obviously very strong solo wrestlers, so that isn't a priority for them. So while I think in one sense the 5 guys is a strength, and the reason that they are so high is because as a faction they are very cohesive. You see them together all the time. They're doing live broadcasts. Literally a few days ago I was watching Taka Michinoku and Sanada trying to do a double Instagram live while sat next to each other. It's never going to work because there's always feedback, but there is something so endearing about them as a faction. Taichi's YouTube channel helps. I just think that we need more gold. We need more set journeys, and I think that's going to happen. And it's going to be tough without Uemura because he is that new blood, but with Doki and Sanada and Taichi and Taka, they are still an extremely strong faction, and I love them. So yeah, Just 5 Guys. Now the top 4 was very hard to choose between. I'm looking at it now because you have factions with strong wrestlers, titles, but at number 4, due to the lack of titles within New Japan, I have put TMDK, the mighty don't kneel. Now obviously they are this high because Zack Sabre Jr. won the G1 and he's going to win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and it's going to come home and it's going to be historic at Royal Quest. They also have some really strong wrestlers. We have TMDK, who are currently double champions, so they are the IWGP Tag Champions and Strong Tag Champions. We have Fujita, who has really been shining since he's been coming back, whether it was in the Best of Super Junior, in tag matches as like Zack's side man, but you know what I mean, like he's there for him. And then with Fujita, you forgot Robbie Eagles. So many amazing guys, and obviously I think they're teasing a new member to be done, and also outside from that you have other guys who might not be a mainstay in New Japan but still under that TMDK banner. And similarly to Just 5 Guys, the reason that TMDK is so good is because of the bond between the members. They are a very small, tight-knit faction. They are coming out when each of them have matches to support them, whether it's a tag match or a title match or the G1 matches. And I think obviously we've got 2 sets of gold within the faction, and Robbie for me, I think is one of the most underrated guys, because not only when he comes to New Japan is he amazing, but he is flying the flag for New Japan, for Australia, across the globe in different promotions as like a veteran in the industry. And then you see Fujita, and I can't help be proud of how far he's come recently. Like, I remember him as a young lion, and yeah, the future is so bright. So TMDK is currently at number 4. However, maybe if you ask them in a few weeks, they might shoot to number 1. But I'm not doing it in a few weeks, I'm doing it now. So yeah, TMDK at number 4. Number 3, we have the premier faction within Bullet Club. And that is the War Dogs. The War Dogs have gone from a faction which had potential, but people weren't too sure on David Finlay, to one of the strongest. We have so many titles in there. We have the Global Championship held by David Finlay, the Junior Tag titles held by Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney. Gabe has the Strong Openweight Championship. And then aside from that, you've got guys like Jake Lee, who has just made an appearance. Also, I think within War Dogs, I guess you could count I count Taiji Shimori and stuff like that. They are a very strong, cohesive unit with some of the best wrestlers in the world. You have the fucking madman, Gabriel Kidd, who is basically not just within the strong division with his title, but during the G1, when he's doing promotions when it comes to US shows. And hopefully he can come and do some promo on this channel, because funnily enough, like 4 or 5 years ago, I did a written interview with babyface Gabe Kid, who had just gone to the New Japan dojo and wanted to join the company. To the fucking madman. But he has made such an impact. While people might be mixed on how Driller and Clark have been with the tag division, they are probably, I think, in the running for one of the longest. They change it to white. They are dominating every time they come. And my big thing is Finlay. Finlay has improved so much as a leader. He has get an identity away from his dad, away from Bullet Club. So yeah, War Dogs is really doing well at the moment. And with the addition of Jake Lee, whether you like him or hate him, it brings more breadth into it, because we obviously see that Gabe wants to go for the tag titles. So hopefully when his injury is better, you have another layer to War Dogs. Okay, so the top 2 is always interchangeable, and this is what I'm doing on the day. It might change tomorrow, it might have changed yesterday, but as I am filming this, at number 2 is The Empire. I think Empire might have been number 1 last time. The Empire are amazing. Although Will Ospreay has left and is technically, while he's under the Empire banner, it's not the New Japan Empire, the faction has still been thriving. So, Hanare is the never openweight champion. He has been doing amazing things. Jeff Cobb is a television champion. Okan is not only the King of Pro Wrestling champion, but he beat Tetsuya Naito in the G1, and he has now got a title shot on the 29th. Aside from that, you have Callum Newman, who has really been improving, taking on criticism. TJP, who is now still again balancing on that junior openweight, and obviously the little pride, Akira. There is so much diversity within this faction, and again, like I said, with all the groups who are in the top, a very strong sense of faction cohesion. They always spotted out drinking, eating. Okan even paid for a meal once. And gold aside, there is something that shows the popularity of the Empire. That, like, even Okan pointed out that while there would be a sea of Los Ingobernables merch and t-shirts and stuff like that, there is now so much green everywhere. Green light sticks, green t-shirts, queues to meet the Empire members. And that's because despite having only one Japanese member, they have connected with the heart of watchers of New Japan. Whether it's Okan's desire to help New Japan go forward, or Jeff Cobb's personality, or just the mix of so many different styles and charisma within it. They are very strong in every way. Why have I not put them at number 1? You know what? I might even like go back when I'm editing this video and go, Sonal, you should have put the Empire at number 1, because personally as well, like, the Empire are one of my favorite factions. Like, the wrestlers are like totally my type, like in terms of like there is something, not in that way, but like in terms of there's junior heavyweights, there's big beefy men, there's charisma, there's speed, there's athleticism, and put together they are one lethal, cohesive faction. And I think that I think it's going to be sooner rather than later than we see the faction holding a lot more titles. I think they have so much potential to get back into the junior division, so Akira and TJP for tag, or Akira for junior. And yeah, I love that, like, because when Empire first created, I had a bit of grievances because there was a lot of, like, they were a heel faction, they were called the Empire, it felt a bit weird for me. But they've slowly changed, they've adapted to what the crowd's like, and they have become a firm fan favourite. But obviously at number 1, that means that it's the fan favourite faction, and that is Los Ingobernables de Japon. I can't roll my tongue like Naito can. They are at number 1 for many reasons. Yes, Naito might be very mixed with all your opinions. He's not washed up, he's just tranquilo. But he is the IWGP heavyweight champion. And aside from that, my thing with Los Ingobernables de Japon is just the level of talent. While on the outside they might not be as cohesive as the other factions, like, they don't all go out drinking and stuff like that, they still have a very familial bond when they are together in the ring. Like, commentators will say time after time after time that when they're in the ring together, it's almost like they don't need to say anything. Everything is non-verbal. So you've got Naito at the top. Then you've got Hiromu and Bushi, very strong in the tag division. Hiromu even recently challenged for the openweight title. Shingo Takagi, like, phenomenal wrestler. Again, probably some of wrestler of the year for New Japan when it comes to his matches. He had his 20th anniversary. Yota Tsuji really shined in the G1 as expected, and since coming back at Excursion, out of those 4 like returning young lions, has done the best. Don't want to forget Titan. Titan is also amazing. He's currently in CMLL. I believe he is the welterweight champion. Yeah. So you have, and have I forgotten anyone? Naito, Hiromu, Bushi, Takagi, Tsuji. I've probably forgotten some of it if I've not. The thing is that as good as all the other factions on the wrestlers, Los Ingobernables de Japon is still that faction. I was watching the documentary on New Japan World and the New Japan YouTube channel about the G1. And if you see it, everyone's like, I'm there for Naito, I'm there for Tsuji, I'm there for Sanada. Not Sanada. I'm there for Naito, I'm there for Tsuji, I'm there for Takagi. They are still the top of their game, even with most of the wrestlers in their late 30s, 40s. They are the ones that attract the fans. They are the ones who bring bums to seats because they have that charisma. They have that aura. They might be tranquilo, but they are passionate. They are the perfect tweeners they are loved, but they're not afraid to cheat. And I think that whatever view you look at it, compared to any faction, Los Ingobernables de Japon, I think, has been the most impactful for the company. They are always the biggest draw, the most popular, the one who've got the lines for the merch, the most popular selling merch. You see screaming like, Bushi, Naito, Hiromu. Do you know what I mean? Like, they are always going to be one of the best. And I personally still love every member of LIJ. I think they are still at the top of their game, even Naito. They've got so much to give, and as a faction, they are the perfect dysfunctional family, especially when it comes to, like, the relationship between Naito and Hiromu. So yeah, I'm going to run over quickly what I had. So, last place, House of Torture, then Chaos, then Hontai, just 5 guys, TMDK, War Dogs, the Empire, and Los Ingobernables de Japon. So yeah, that is my ranking of factions. Obviously, this is as of the 18th of September. Things could change depending on if titles get passed around in like hell. Like I said, next month I might say something completely different. But I feel like I should do this every year. It sort of updates people on the storylines going on in New Japan per wrestler. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments, on social media at wrestling_chat. Rank your factions. Let me know your thoughts on my ranking, because I know that a lot of you are not going to agree. So you can do that in the comments. Make sure to hit like, share this video, and hit subscribe, because remember, we've got the Big Destruction show coming up. King of Pro Wrestling, where Zach challenges whoever is the champion for the IWGP title, and then Royal Quest, which I will be vlogging. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you soon. Bye!